Oh,
I'm
we're
gonna get
live.
still photo tonight.
Okay. Well, we're live, and this is the episode 4 and 5 of the GoodCast. Severisto and Chicanery, really two good episodes. And let's start with Chicanery, since that was the Monday's episode. And man, the whole courtroom scene with Jimmy and Chuck, and Jimmy basically flip flopping the court scene to make it Chuck's mental illness, and I thought that was fantastic. And we saw
Yeah.
Rebecca too, which I said Rebecca's going to be in play.
Yeah.
Yep.
That whole thing. I mean, first of all, I'm on Jimmy's side on this,
Hmm.
but it almost goes one step further. I almost forget that he's lying.
Yeah.
You know, it's so compelling because Chuck, his whatever stick is up his ass that causes him to be the way he is, it's just over the top. You can't let
Hmm.
him get away with that crap.
Yeah, and Jimmy, man, that was a great lie. He said, "I lied to my brother because he was sick."
Yeah.
Mm.
And we saw the early stages of Chuck's illness in the teaser, where he's basically bringing back everything that's electronics, so that he can reconcile with Rebecca.
Mhm.
Yeah, to make her believe to hide the whole illness from her and fake a
Hmm.
power outage and
Yeah.
install a stove, an oven without hooking it up electrically,
Hmm.
We're not going to use it. We're just the telephone and there's Jimmy, you
Yeah.
know, doing everything he can to help Chuck.
Hmm. Yeah, and it makes me wonder if Rebecca was the cause of this illness and not Jimmy, like we thought in the past.
Mhm.
Well, that was insinuated, I think, at some point during the hearing
Hmm.
Yeah.
that it happened shortly after his divorce.
Hmm. And we still don't know why Chuck and Rebecca divorced. And I'm thinking, hopefully, we find out one day.
Yep.
He- He's an asshole.
Possible, it's possible.
Irreconcilable assholeness.
That's a
it's
good one.
that's a great one.
Mhm.
But yeah, that throws Chuck completely off.
Hmm.
And when she comes into the courtroom, she greets Jimmy very warmly,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know. So I mean, and that's a good show to put on. And then just lets Chuck lose his shit.
Yeah, and before when Chuck and Rebecca finally meet, recently he's like, you know what, this is going to be a good show. Jimmy's going under, and you're going to be a witness to this.
Mhm.
Just the arrogance and assholeness of him.
Yep. You've been
Yeah.
sold
Very
a
much
bill of
so.
goods.
Yeah.
And we're proving, what we already suspected. He
Hmm.
doesn't have an actual physical illness.
Hmm.
It is completely a mental illness.
Yeah.
Psychosomatic. It,
Yep.
it can be.
Hmm.
Yeah. It can be kind of considered psychosomatic.
Hmm.
It wasn't the first point of proof in the show, if I recall, but this one stands out.
It was when the doctor from Breaking Bad turned the electoral thing on when he was in the hospital. When Chuck was in the hospital.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, something like that.
Hmm.
To like pretend that it's
That was
on and see
Clea
how he
Duvall.
reacts.
Oh
That
yeah. Hmm.
that was Clea Duvall. She was in The Faculty. You ever seen that movie, The Faculty?
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
She was in that.
But the whole time it's not looking good. We already know that like burden of proof is way more lenient in this kind of hearing because it's the
Hmm.
bar, it's not a court of law,
Yeah.
and it's just not looking good. The tape doesn't sound good.
Hmm.
The things that Jimmy admits to don't sound good. and they really managed to turn that around.
Yeah, I mean, that
Like,
whole scene with Michael McKean, addressing the billboard stunt, the Chicago sunroof, the taking money from his parents' store, and while he's saying that, the slow movement going up on his face from the camera, that is just great, great scene work. Camera work
It
there.
was.
and
Yeah.
I find this parallel with Walt. Walt did what he did for the family.
Mhm,
Chuck is doing this because he respects the law.
mhm,
Mm.
It has nothing to do with the fact that he's just got it in for Jimmy. No, 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 no.
mhm.
Right? And then he shows that it is.
Mm.
Yeah,
He's,
I
and
mean,
I don't think the
Yeah.
bar association at that point, I mean, we don't see what their decision is, but
yeah.
you can look at their faces.
Mhm,
They'd be disbarring somebody on the basis of some family
Mm.
feud.
mhm.
And, and Chuck was conniving and he orchestrated this whole thing. And the argument they make is reasonable doubt that
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just said it to make him feel better. Didn't want him to
Mhm,
think he was losing his mind.
mhm.
Didn't know it was going to
Yeah.
come to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, one of my favorite parts of this episode. I mean, this
Yeah,
was a great episode. Of course.
before we get to the special Breaking Bad cameo, so Jimmy meets the
Yeah.
vet for the very first time, and he asks for somebody to with a light touch so he can punt a battery pack in
Oh, yeah.
Chuck's
Oh
breast
yeah.
jacket, and that
The
someone
vet.
was
Yeah.
Huel. Huel
Yo.
return in this episode,
Yeah, but
which
he
Yes.
said, the guy
Lavelle
said,
Crawford.
does he need to fit in small spaces? And which, I don't know about you guys, but that got my brain churning.
well, if the light touch right there was sort of a
Another tip off.
Easter egg, yeah. So
Light touch,
Mhm.
small spaces.
Huel,
Yep.
who lost over, I think, what, 100 pounds of weight?
Yeah, a lot of
At
I thought
least, yeah.
I thought it was like 190 or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Extra
mean,
than he did on Breaking Bad. But I knew it was him. It just.
he looked funny. He looked funny. I was like, is that Huel? I wasn't sure. And
But
then it
as soon as
confirmed
you saw it, you knew he was planting something
something. Yep.
electrical, a phone, whatever, on Chuck. You knew Chuck had something in his pocket
Hmm.
and it was going to be revealed in the courtroom. And Jimmy did a fantastic job. Although they weren't celebrating, they weren't like,
Hmm.
yeah, we won. It was
Yeah.
very somber.
It was, and we said, we don't know the outcome of this yet, and I'm sure it's going to be tackled first thing Monday.
But how about that really weird scene at the end? It was almost like an afterthought. It was very strange, but uh, maybe not. I'm not saying it was bad,
The whole wide shot with everybody in the courtroom and the exit sign hanging up, and you see
Mhm.
Chuck and them.
but it's not. No, you just see it's not Chuck. It looks like an older man who actually looks like he's sitting dead in the chair. You don't see anybody else
Hmm.
or any other chairs. You just see that exit sign in the foreground and that buzzing electrical sound.
Hmm.
Like Chuck just fried his entire life.
Yeah, and speaking of the buzzing sound, going back to the teaser where Rebecca was answering her phone, they did this whole epic sound effects with the intense buzzing with Chuck and the cell
Right.
phone, and I thought that was epic. It was great.
But why? Why does
Whoops.
this keep happening?
Sorry. Yeah, that's a Breaking Bad thing. Oh yeah, that's a computer sound. It's a custom computer sound from a TV show. Anyway. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I forgot what we just said. What you just said.
The intense buzzing when Rebecca was
Oh,
answering the phone with Chuck.
yeah. Breaking Bad had lots of moments like that. where
Mm-hmm.
it's supposed to, and it works. It gets under our skin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like a certain sound in the episode before,
Yeah.
um, gets under our skin enough that we can feel, the tension and anxiety going on with the
Mm-hmm.
character.
Yeah, and so he just in the teaser he's like he's really pissed off at Rebecca because she got the cell phone and he takes the cell phone and throws it on the ground.
Yeah,
What?
and he'd rather be that intolerant
Mm-hmm.
of phone calls during dinner than admit to her that. And again, they tried to make the distinction in the courtroom that we're not here to talk about uh, McGill's mental health. This
Mm-hmm.
is a physical condition. But gee, you didn't want people to know about it. You didn't want Rebecca to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have told her if you had lung cancer?
No, I thought that was a great. I thought it was a great foreshadowing or
Yeah.
callback to
Yeah.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
That's genius on their part.
Yeah.
And I love the fact you saw Jimmy give a subtle signal to Francesca, who was
Yeah,
in the courtroom.
to bring in Rebecca.
Well,
No, that was to bring in
Oh,
Hugh.
to bring.
Rebecca was already
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
there.
that's right.
Rebecca, they had to stall for.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And so going back to after he meets with the vet, uh, Kim is with Mesa Verde, and she is letting them know that this whole Jimmy and Chuck saga it might affect any might be effective in the Mesa Verde file, and what's going to happen with Kim and Mesa Verde?
Well, she explained exactly what was going on
Mm-hmm.
and saying, this could be a messy situation. And it
Mm-hmm.
involves somebody that I happen to share an office space with. So if you're
Yeah.
not comfortable with this, then,
Mhm.
I understand. She was laying it all out. Full disclosure, not hiding anything.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to keep her anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she really cleared herself where that was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, and also the woman, she asked again where Mesa Verde suffered any blowback, and she said no, but um, I don't think Kim is telling the full truth on this. I think something's going to happen with the Mesa Verde. Because something has to happen with Kim, because we don't see Kim, we don't hear of Kim at all in Breaking Bad.
No.
Mhm.
And I think I know what happened to Kim. I think Kim is in Omaha, Nebraska, and that's why Gene is in Omaha, Nebraska.
Really?
Oh.
But the
Yep.
point is not to be with anybody near anybody. Well, I guess the disappear guy wouldn't know about her.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I think my predictions have been like a little too simplistic, and I should think bigger or
Mm-hmm.
different. Because we've always kind of thought that this, like some kind of conflict, like he's had with his brother,
Mm-hmm.
might get him disbarred, get him in trouble, and he'd have to like recreate himself, new identity. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to think that this is going to go down so hard for Chuck because
Mm-hmm.
he's a well-known, well-respected lawyer. This is going to be big news
Mm-hmm.
that McGill lost his mind, and Jimmy's not going to want to use that name anymore.
Yeah, and don't forget we've got Hamlin involved, and he's worried about a big PR problem with Chuck,
Right?
so he can cut loose Chuck at any time.
Yeah, he was
Mhm.
trying to like talk Chuck down out of this the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Mhm.
did mention the PR aspect of it.
Yeah, and this does not look good for Hamlin and McGill at all
Right.
with Chuck with a mental illness, and we figure out the second Hamlin and Hamlin McGill was Hamlin's father in this
Hamlin's
episode.
father. Yeah.
Oh, in a very,
Yep.
very great way, because Kim is I think it's the cross examination.
Mm-hmm.
and said, well, we didn't hire Jimmy because of nepotism. And oh, really? So, Hamlin, and McGill. Who's the other Hamlin?
Yeah,
And that's my
yeah,
thought.
great,
Oh,
great,
that was
great.
brilliant. That was really brilliant. I love that. Yeah, that
Mhm.
was a good. That was good. That was just brilliant. I thought that that was
Mhm.
yeah the whole nepotism thing. Yeah, that was brilliant.
And it's just Jimmy, and then you can see this because Saul Goodman we meet in
Mhm.
Breaking Bad is not interested in doing favors, being a nice guy.
Mhm.
Screw it. Everybody's out for themselves. I'm going to be out for myself too. And
Mhm.
that's just the way it is.
Hmm.
And we can
Yeah.
see Jimmy has been so selfless in so many ways. I mean, he's not perfect
Mhm.
and he's done some screwed up things, but he hasn't messed up Chuck's life. Chuck has messed up Chuck's life.
Mhm. Yeah, and we get more story, and actually Jimmy gets more story in this episode about Chuck basically not allowing him to become at any role at Hamlin McGill. He's been keeping him down
Mhm.
ever since he's got his bar license.
He was working in the mailroom apparently,
Yeah,
basically.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
we
he
saw
said
At
that.
Hamlin and McGill.
he
Mhm.
wasn't he didn't care about he didn't want like just a year or two suspension. He wanted complete disbarment, never
Mhm.
practice law again.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Why? It's so awful. And go back to that thing with the mother
Mhm.
calling for Jimmy while Chuck is
Mm-hmm.
right
Mhm.
there as
Mm-hmm.
she's dying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking these two growing up, it
Jimmy
was
was the favorite,
not just
Mm-hmm.
and
in
Chuck and
but
Chuck's mom.
for a reason that
Mhm.
Jimmy had a good heart and
Mhm.
Chuck was a selfish little brat.
I like to see a flashback to little Jimmy and little Chuck. I think that would be just great. Just seeing the relationship between the two brothers of them when they were little. Because
I,
we saw little Jimmy back in season 2 where he takes the money out of the register, and we
yeah,
saw what happened because his dad got screwed, and he didn't want to see his dad getting screwed, so he took out the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I could see something like they're playing a game and he lets Chuck win because Chuck's only happy when he's the winner or things
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm.
Just being a sweeter kid, having a better heart.
Yeah.
But he's being destroyed. He's being ruined right now.
And I do believe we are going to finally see Saul Goodman for the first time next week.
Yeah, because we hear in the teaser Kim
Because in the
say
preview,
Saul Goodman.
mm-hmm.
And I told you, Henry, I think Kim is the one that came up with the name.
No,
Mm.
no, that was his name when he was messing around with his friend, right? Wasn't that the didn't?
No, he just said
Oh, he
Saul
just said Saul
Goodman.
Goodman.
Yeah, yeah.
Saul Goodman. I think he comes up with it himself and he floats it out to her, and she
Hmm.
is saying it
Mm.
like she's trying it on, like
Hmm.
hearing it out. I think he doesn't want to be confused with the McGill who lost his mind and thought he was allergic to electricity.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great theory. That's a
I think it's
good
as simple
theory.
as that. And I
Yeah.
And what are they going to do with Chuck? I mean, what exactly is going to happen to Chuck? Are they going to,
Hmm.
put him somewhere, put him in a facility? What exactly is
Well,
going
we
to
saw in the
happen to Chuck?
teaser the confrontation between Hamlin and Chuck, so we need to know where that goes from out through there. And
Yeah.
also the longer teaser I watched, and Crazy 8 is in Monday's
mm-hmm.
episode. Crazy 8 is
Crazy
back.
Eight. Yeah.
And in that scene, we hear Crazy 8 say the new kid, and I'm thinking it's either Skinny Pete or Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
The new kid, huh?
Well, now
Yep.
Skinny Pete did know Tuco in prison, so
Hmm. But did but
They
did
might be in prison at this point.
yeah? We don't know if he's in
yeah.
prison or not.
Well, no, we know Tuco's in prison right now.
Yeah. Hmm. So next
But
week
yeah, Tuco is.
we
But
might see Skinny Pete next week getting arrested
yeah.
and heading off to prison.
Hmm.
Mm. But there's so many interesting things that are going to happen on Monday night. Yeah, we're at the halfway point of the season too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was telling Shane about that. He said, "I wish it was 13 episodes, at least."
Yeah, 13 episodes would have been epic for this season right now.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I think we've covered all the major points.
And back in the teaser, when he was talking with Rebecca, Chuck brought up that there was an address mistake, and they got the address mixed up. That was a callback to Mesa Verde.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yep, it was. That was really. I mean, there's so many things that they just kind of they don't forget things. That's the good thing about it. The writing is very consistent with this show.
And I read on some of the reviews that this episode right here, Chicanery, is sort of like a fly episode. It's sort of like a bottle episode because we see all these characters in one space, and they're just there, only in that space. We don't see any Mike, we don't see any Gus, we don't see any of the whole cartel stuff going on.
Well, we have a couple of other locations, don't we? I mean, we have at least Chuck's house when he's practicing how to sound like he cares about his brother.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought that up. And
when he pulls up and when the car pulls up and all that.
That was a good scene. I like that scene where he's
escalator.
Practicing. He's trying to sound compassionate. He's trying to sound like.
And he brought up the Unabomber and said that the Unabomber's brother still loved him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yep, practicing.
But you know how it is with some shows that they're not quite consistent with some of the storylines and some of the writing. Mm-hmm. This one, they pay so much close attention to detail. Mm-hmm. They really it's tremendous. It's really great. And there's some not just the callbacks, but mm-hmm. there's things that they remember from certain scenes and things like that. And they don't forget things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean they've got the book. Next week, Monday's episode is Off-Brand, and it's going to be a heavy featured Nacho and Gus and Crazy 8.
So we are going to see Nacho, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, now we see Nacho and Crazy 8 sitting down at the table together. Yep. Hector's in the background there.
Mm-hmm.
And we see Victor wielding a gun.
Tyrus is in this episode.
Tyrus was in.
Yeah, we saw Tyrus. Yeah.
We've got Rebecca kind of pissed off. You're assuming she's talking to Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what else you want to? You don't want to, like, enough with Chuck. Aren't you happy? Like, I think this works out for him, but at this point, I don't think Jimmy's going to be happy unless Chuck gets put away.
Okay, so my question is, what will the Bar Association rule in favor of? Will they rule in favor of Jimmy or Chuck? Or will they just toss the case out and say, forget it, because this is just a family member problem?
They may toss it out. I don't know.
I think Jimmy made his point. Mm-hmm. Look how upset he is. Look how mentally ill he is. He thinks he's allergic to electricity, and he's not. I go in the house, and he's on this thing on steroids, and everything's covered with something. And they even said, even his own defense, prosecutor was saying, you do sound a little unhinged in that.
Yeah.
And so the idea that a brother might say anything just to make that other brother feel better without regard.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
if we haven't seen what actually went down between Chuck and Jimmy, it is highly believable that Jimmy lied to Chuck just to make him feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We know it's not true, but it's also very possible.
Mm-hmm.
And he even says it makes you feel better, right?
And one thing about it is that in one scene, Kim and Jimmy, they're having a snack or whatever. So Rebecca's probably going to hate you after this. He said, "Yep."
Yeah, and next week the fight starts. But
Hmm.
I don't think Jimmy, because he's the guardian,
Hmm.
Yeah,
and
he
I
is.
don't think he wants to deal with this anymore. And
Hmm.
so maybe the fight will be, well, fine, if you don't like the decisions I'm making about my brother, then
Hmm.
feel free to take over as his guardian
Hmm.
Hmm.
while you're traveling all around the world.
Yeah. This has been
Oh
a
yeah,
strong season. This has been a really strong
it has
season.
been.
We're only halfway through.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
yeah.
Monday is going to be called Off Brand. Next week is Expenses, Slip, Fall, and Lantern.
Hmm,
Slip and Fall.
Oh.
I'm thinking Slip and Fall might be Chuck,
hmm.
Mm.
or it
Well,
might
he
be Slip and
definitely
Jimmy.
slipped.
Yeah.
And that last scene there, that was very, very eerie. If that does
It
not
was.
mean if things went badly for Chuck, I don't know what does.
Hmm.
Yeah. That was an eerie, eerie scene. It wasn't even Chuck anymore. It was like some other actor just sitting there looking like he was dead.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
watched it over and over again because it was like really intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, that moment right there, I think Chuck knew he was defeated with Jimmy. He was really outsmarted by Jimmy.
Hmm.
And the way, Jimmy sits and the whole courtroom and the panel from the bar,
Hmm.
everybody in that courtroom just suddenly was on the same page. They had the same look on their faces.
Hmm.
And Jimmy's not looking happy about it, and neither is Kim. But at this point, Jimmy's got to do what he's got to do to protect his right
Hmm.
to work. He worked hard to become a lawyer, and you know he did do something that's
Hmm.
pretty big.
Yeah.
What he did is pretty big. However, you know how in the previous episode Mike says to tell Gus they're square.
Hmm.
These
Hmm.
guys aren't square.
No.
Jimmy can never make up for the crap that his brother has put him through.
Hmm.
So cold,
Very true.
uncaring, and Jimmy just time and time again would just run to him and do whatever he needed.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's pretty much it for chicanery. We've covered
Oh.
the major part. So let's wind the clock back and go to Sabaristo. Holy hell! That
Oh
was
my
that
gosh.
it was. This was the episode that Vince Gilligan said this was the 63rd episode of Breaking Bad,
That was
and
the one.
Yes.
Oh
that was
man.
the one, and I can see it. So let's
Mhm.
dive deep into this. No pun intended,
Literally.
because in
Literally.
the teaser we
First,
Yep.
see Don and
yes. Don
Eladio,
Eladio.
In
Yes,
a
and Hector.
pool, in that pool.
the exact same
Yeah.
pool.
The last time we saw him, he was in that pool, but he wasn't looking so
Yeah.
happy.
No.
No, he was dead.
Yep. And the pool came up in Breaking Bad so much.
Hmm.
So many
Yes, it
scenes. It
did.
was an integral part of that show.
Hmm.
And to have
Hmm.
introduce Don Eladio that way,
It was just amazing.
yeah,
That was
perfect.
now. Was this before or after? It has to be before.
No, it's after Max.
Yeah.
Really, after Max.
Oh yeah, because when he proposed all of this,
Hmm.
when Max died, he was proposing this business.
Hmm.
Don Eladio wasn't in this business yet.
Hmm.
So this is after Max. And you notice that after the whole scene with all the guys and Hector, you know, not being satisfied with anything, he stands right at that spot and
Hmm.
looks in the
Hmm.
pool. He's thinking about it. It's happened already.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
1999.
Yeah, and I think the other flashback they did was like what, in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s.
Definitely earlier than that. I don't know how much earlier,
Hmm.
but somewhere along the line, it'll be interesting to see how that happens. Don Eladio goes from the man who did this horrible thing probably the worst event in Gus's life, to business partner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that they do mention that and what seems to kind of seal the deal as far as whether Gus and Max were lovers. Somebody mentions, that
That was
Buck
Hector.
Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Hector. Even Giancarlo Esposito said that he thought that they were gay lovers, Max and Gus. So
yeah, but when Gus brought Donnie Laudio the money, it wasn't Gus, it was one of his employees. It was neatly packed and it was in plastic wrapping. When Hector did it, it was just rolled up in balls with rubber bands on it.
And insulting Hector, like yours isn't as big as Gus's. Yours is cute. That bobblehead.
Yeah, the bobblehead.
That made me start to wonder if Don Eladio actually is Greek. Does he have Greek roots? What is this whole thing?
It's possible. I think they confirmed it with the bobblehead.
Well, yeah, I remember they had he has the business with the ice cream. He has the ice cream business, and Gus has the Los Pollos Hermanos.
The chicken business, so it's ice cream versus chicken.
Yeah, but I think Hector took the initiative to do it himself, to start the ice cream business, because he found out that this guy never gets harassed at the border. So he just probably strong-armed his way into that one. When he said he bought the business, so he's probably like, he meant he shot the owner in the head and took his employees. But and he wants
that would be very much a Hector type thing to do for sure.
Yeah. So
Hector is not feeling like he is elevated to the level that he expects.
Well, when we first see Hector and Donnie Eladio, it was like Hector was like Donnie Eladio's right-hand man. Right. And now this flashback, it's like he's been demoted.
Right. So this, again, it goes to, this is after Max. And when he's standing at that spot right where Max died at the edge of that pool, it almost looks like he's thinking of better days when Don Eladio appreciated him more. And if and he could picture that head bleeding into the pool, and especially Gus on the ground whimpering.
So something happened between Hector and Donnie Eladio, and we hopefully we figure out what happened between the two, because like I said, Hector was his right-hand man.
Well, let's see. The way Gus operates, Gus just decided to get back at Hector by being better than Hector. Because Don Eladio's loyalties are really, they have a monetary value. So, I don't think Don Eladio gives a shit about the bad blood, the whole thing about Max. Gus has this great operation going, and he's bringing in more money.
Yep.
So automatically he's sorry, Hector, I'm still your friend, but
Yeah.
This guy's doing it right, and that's how you win Don Eladio's loyalty.
Exactly. And going back to Breaking Bad, when we see Gus do this proposal, Donnie Eladio didn't want nothing to do with meth. Absolutely nothing. He said it's biker crank and all that nonsense, and he didn't want nothing to do with it. Then I guess Gus talked him into it, and now he's rolling in the dough of it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, but I mean, that was a great teaser, though. I mean, seeing Don Eladio, and I'm like, oh my God, Don Eladio.
Yeah, that really shocked me. Going into the episode.
And Juan Bolsa?
Yeah, Juan Bolsa was there too. I think he was the one that delivered the Los Sports Money shutting the money too.
Oh yeah, Juan Bolsa, yeah.
They're
I
very
mean,
happy with the
they're-
Country Man. He liked his T-shirt,
oh yeah, he liked the T-shirt. Yeah,
but
we put the
he made
T-shirt
fun
on.
of the
Yeah.
bobblehead.
Mm-hmm.
Uh huh.
So Hector,
The Sabrosito bobblehead.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah,
But going into the episode, we see Mike watching the police raid, and the DEA is there. Hank might be coming in this season.
That'd be cool
Yeah,
to see
I
Dean
mean, that's-
Norris. That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
the ice cream place.
Hmm. Yeah, he was keeping an eye on that boy. And then, yes, we go to Los Pollos Hermanos, and guess who shows up? Hector.
This was by
He
far
just
my
lost his
favorite
contribution.
scene. I love this whole scene right here. The whole segment, really. Hector comes into Los Pollos Hermanos, demanding to see Gus. Gus is at the exact same firehouse where Walt left Holly.
Yes.
No.
Yep.
And remember, Shane, we wondered if that was the same place.
It was. It's confirmed it was.
It was the firehouse, but he was meeting with the police.
No, he was at the firehouse. It was firefighters.
Okay, it looked like police uniforms.
Yeah. And
Oh, and by the way, I love the Los Pollos Hermanos training videos. Those are great.
yeah, those are epic. Yeah, but Hector goes in demanding to see Gus. Gus isn't there, so Hector makes himself comfortable and starts screwing with people and getting drunk and lighting up cigars, which was hilarious. They said
he
that they
basically acted like he owned the place.
Can I tell
That's
you-
what he was acting like.
When he walks in, before he's done anything, even gotten to the counter,
Mhm.
he has disgusted me. He's repulsive. Every time he takes a breath, every time he makes a sound,
Mhm.
every time you see his face,
Yeah.
and he looks at people, and he is so repulsive before he even starts to misbehave.
Mhm. And then, I mean, as soon as he
Yeah.
walks in, the customers they just stop right dead in their tracks. They know something's about to go down. But they said, I was listening to the Insider podcast, and they said they filmed like a long shot of that, and Hector was going around messing with the customers and, picking food off the plates and eating it and everything, and they had to cut some of that for time.
Wow. Yeah, I could see him doing that. He does that.
Yeah.
He does that very, very well.
Yeah.
Hmm. I think he was a great casting choice to play Hector. Mark Margolis,
Mhm.
absolutely
but
amazing.
originally, all he had to do was sit in a wheelchair and ring a bell.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So it's nice that they gave him a flashback that he could walk and talk in, and now that he gets to do more of that.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the first time we see talking Hector with Gus, and their confrontation is great. I mean, he's there laying back in a chair, taking a pen and scraping dog shit off his off his shoe, and he's just
trying not to freak out because he's such an OCD neat freak.
yeah.
But
And then
when Hector goes there, now you got to figure that Gus has got some of his own guys
Mhm.
for security and things related to people like Hector.
Mhm.
But when he gets the call that Hector's there, I'll be right there.
Yeah.
It reminds me, because whenever it has to do with Hector, it's very, very personal to Gus, and he likes to deal with that himself and not delegate. And that would be his fatal mistake.
Mhm.
yeah, especially eventually with Hector. Yes,
Exactly.
when he and Tyrus go to the nursing home. Yes,
Exactly. And they, man, this is getting really, really good. But Hector, he's in Gus's office, and he tells him, and I love this line, I am the cartel now.
Yeah.
You come through me.
You my mule.
Yeah. And Gus is just there. being Gus, and he's like, yeah, 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 and then got a smile on his face. Did Don Eladio punch you up to this? And then after the confrontation, Gus goes around, starts cleaning everything up, and does the basket throw with the trash.
Yeah, perfect 3-point shot.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder.
It seems like
that was symbolic, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
He's a step ahead, kind of like it's the end of this episode too, where Kim finally extracts from Chuck and Howard that there's
Mm-hmm.
there's a copy of the tape.
Mm-hmm.
There, and she's happy about it. She and Jimmy are happy about it. They're a step ahead.
Yeah.
Gus is a step ahead. It's
Yep.
like,
and it seems like this is a plan that
Yes.
Gus had all along, and it's finally coming through.
Now, was that a multiple take thing when he threw that piece of paper in the trash, or was it one take? Or
I think it was multiple. I heard on the podcast. I think it was multiple takes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that night,
it wasn't like with the pizza, with Walter and the pizza. That was one take.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to capture lightning in the bottle again for that.
Yeah.
But then that night, Victor sees Mike and gives him his payment. Mike refuses, and he says to Gus that was square.
Yeah,
and
so it seems like Mike is now kind of involved in this Hector. I mean, he says he's happy to have Hector out of his head, but I don't think he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's very unusually tense about Hector when he tries to have a visit with Stacy and Kaylee.
Because he knows that they know about Stacy and Kaylee.
So something
Hector.
Gus did led to the DEA raiding Hector's helado business, and now he needs new distribution, so he goes to Gus. So this is part of Gus's plan. Probably. Oh.
Yeah, because remember, season 2, we saw the cousins watching Mike and Kaylee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So maybe this is where...
Maybe this is where Mike asks Gus for protection for Mike and Kaylee. Stacy and Kaylee.
Yeah.
Maybe this is when Hector ends up in a wheelchair.
Yeah, we got to find out when he's going to end up in that wheelchair.
Well, remember, we did see some foreshadowing.
Because it does look like a stroke. Doesn't look like a wheelchair injury. You'd be able to talk. So, you guys don't watch Orange is the New Black. So, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched the leaked Orange is the New Black. But somebody shoots one of the guards in the leg, which is not really a big deal, except it's a prison on lockdown and not the best medical facilities. So the guy ends up throwing a clot. And now there's your stroke. But Gus said that a bullet to the head would be way too humane.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a good line. That was a line only Gus could say. Definitely.
Yeah, that was Breaking Bad Gus. But let's get to the other scene, which I absolutely love. It was when Gus calls in his employees and addresses the whole situation. And he does this great lie saying these guys came for money, they're from Mexico, and he's like, "This is America, so I didn't give them what they wanted." Oh my God! I mean, this is a different Gus that we've seen from Breaking Bad, and I'm glad we're seeing the whole manager Gus.
Yeah,
and he puts a little emotion into his voice, like he's almost about to break down, but pulls it together.
Yeah,
and it's that assistant manager. He's the one he really has to convince the most. And you finally see that he does.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everybody else is
That was a tremendous scene.
Yeah, I thought
I used to work.
Go ahead,
I used to
Henry.
work at Wendy's. So, our manager would give us these little pep talks every now and then. Of course, he wasn't running a meth business either. So,
as far
You
as we
didn't know
know.
that. Exactly, as far as you know. But during when he's addressing the employees, there was a quick camera shot of someone cutting tomatoes or onions, and it looked to me like it was the same woman, assistant manager from Breaking Bad.
Oh,
probably was. That's what I'm thinking. Probably was. How many Breaking Bad callbacks have we seen? With
A
this show,
ton, a ton.
but they work. But they work. I mean,
Mhm.
because that eventually leads to what we see on Breaking Bad. So,
and you got Nacho kind of looking at Gus with almost awe.
Mhm.
He's there on Hector's side, but he kind
Yeah.
of he's looking at Gus like, wow, this guy knows what he's doing.
Well, it comes to mind that since Nacho is running a business of his own, since we saw in the last season, does he goes to Gus and have Gus to help him?
I don't know.
Because we don't see Nacho in Breaking Bad. We heard his name once, and that was spoken by Saul when we first meet Saul. But other than that, we don't see Nacho.
For right now, I think he's stuck with the Salamancas. It's not something you just go, well, it's been real. I'll see you later.
Right? Yeah. I'm trying to think. Crazy Eight. He was the one that Walter choked to death. Had a little thing on his. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Tampico furniture.
Emilio was the one that was in. Emilio was the one that was in the RV. Was in the crystal.
It was Emilio and Crazy Eight. When Walt dumped the phosphorus, Emilio died, but Crazy Eight lived.
Yeah, Amelia went through the floor for the bathtub.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
And that was Crazy Eight. And, and I was showing the preview to my roommate. I'm like, look who it is. And he's like, I see Nacho. I'm like, that's Nacho. Look at the other guy. He's like, he looks familiar. I'm like, well, yeah, he should. And I rewind.
He's got the little Tampico furniture name tag right on his shirt.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. See, now that was a clue. I didn't.
And when we first saw Crazy Eight in season 2 with Tuco, he was driving the Tampico furniture van.
Oh, see, so my we're always so tired when we watch it anymore. It's just like, anyway, I have to watch it like 3 times a week.
Oh yeah, I mean, these episodes are actually worth going and rewatching over and over again, just like Breaking Bad, and trying to pick up on the little Breaking Bad Easter eggs. But going into another great scene that I absolutely love, Mike and Chuck meets for the first time.
Oh, that was
Oh yeah.
I never thought in a million years we will see Mike and Chuck together.
Well, I knew exactly what was going on. Kim was calling every handyman in the phone book that it wasn't just canceling it. She needed to know what time and what time she was canceling for.
Yeah.
It matters. And you knew they were going to send Mike because he looks like he's a handyman. And later we actually see him reading a handyman magazine. And all he's got to do is just press the button on that drill. He doesn't have to actually work with it. And it's like Chuck repellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Every time Chuck would try to walk, Chuck would try to go over there, Mike.
And I love the little split screen between the two. You see Chuck going up the steps, and Mike is on the other side.
Yep.
And he does the drill, and then Chuck just bolts up the steps.
Yep.
Epic. Funny.
That was great.
And the reason why they called him Mike was because to take photos, we didn't know what the photos was going to be used for until Chicanery, where they use it as evidence against Chuck and his mental illness.
Also sent to Rebecca You know, because Jimmy made his case to Rebecca about Chuck.
Yeah.
And you know, he wasn't approaching it like he was trying to bait Mike into a discussion about Chuck. Mike wasn't going to play. I hate your brother too. He wasn't going to play the game. We're done, right? But with Rebecca, he approached it with, I'm worried about him. What do you think? Here's some pictures, that kind of thing. Multi-purpose pictures. What did he say? The rule of thirds?
3. Yeah, 3.
Like, instead of duplicates, you need 3 of each?
And then we hear a comment from Mike saying that it's nice to fix something for once, and I think that's how he got the fixer. The fixer.
Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
I also can't help but think of him with a drill at Walter White's house, drilling into the stuff.
Yes.
The bugs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And he just
That
does
was
work
pretty
as
awesome.
a handyman. And Chuck wants him to do it with manual tools. And he's like, that's going to be like 2 days, me and Ben Gay.
Yeah. But he did get the door fixed. He did get the door fixed, though.
Yep. Oh, he had to.
Well, he has to get the door fixed, because if he didn't get the door fixed, and then they would see right through it.
Yeah, so Chuck doesn't suspect anything.
Yeah.
And he just happens to be able to do that. He's got lots of skills, Mike does.
He does, yeah.
And he gets a job offer. And he doesn't entirely say no.
Yeah, and then we see Mike in the toll booth, and Gus comes. And then, Gus asked him, do you want to know why I don't like Hector? And Mike said that
why I didn't want him dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that. And Mike responded saying, "You're right. It's none of my business." And then that's when the epic line, "Bullet to the head," would have been far too humane.
Yeah. And Gus is really like peeling off a layer of off his face, and going, "Whatever you see here, you don't see everything."
Yeah.
I'm a tough son of a bitch. He was
very much so.
He was really kind of relaying that to Mike, and that was after the job offer. Because Mike asked what kind of work it would be, and Gus didn't really answer, but then he said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that scene with Mike and Gus, talking outside the toll booth. I mean, that was just epic. That was awesome.
And I like how they filmed it. They filmed it just exactly the way Mike first met Gus, and it was just a wide shot of them standing across from each other.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, the camera work that they use. I mean, I imagine they use this a lot of the same crew from Breaking Bad for Better Call Saul. So, I mean, the camera work, the editing works. Oh yeah. And
then we finally get into Jimmy, Kim, and Chuck and Hamlin, and the pre-session before the hearing, and we see the whole. Let's see here. I'm reading the Wikipedia page. Okay, so we see Jimmy actually, basically confirming the PPD. That he destroyed the cassette tape. And there was a great big argument. And there was a great big argument of the whole wording of that PPD.
They went back and forth on, because Kim changed it from destroyed to damaged, and then we got, But the big part of that was the apology that
yes,
was forced to make. And he straddled the line perfectly.
Now, was Jimmy's apology to Chuck real or fake? I'm leaning towards fake. I don't really think he really wanted to apologize. I think
I'm
he just
saying he's straddling. There's
Yeah.
there's a mix going on in there.
Mhm.
Although,
I agree.
maybe with the exception that I don't think he really gives a shit how Chuck feels about any of this right now.
Mhm.
But he does regret
Mhm.
having done all this stuff because look at the pain in the ass it's caused him.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
like he said, and I regret it because it's a terrible way to treat your brother. No one should treat their brother that way.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like, in other words, I don't want to be the jerk that you are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Treating your
Mhm.
brother like crap is your job, not mine, Chuck.
Mhm.
That was perfectly worded.
Well, hey, Jimmy's pissed. And can you blame him, really?
Mhm.
I mean, after what Chuck did, I mean, remember, when he broke the tape, he confronted Chuck. He said, "You
Mhm.
asshole, this is what you broke up our family for
Mhm.
this?"
Right.
Mhm. And then that line about saying, "No wonder Rebecca left you."
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And then we found out. Go ahead.
Well, Chuck doesn't seem he's not a chill guy. He
Mhm.
doesn't go with the flow. He's set in his ways. He's always right. That's
Mhm.
got to get rough.
Mhm.
Mhm.
He's smarter than everybody, so everybody should listen to him. And
Mhm.
even though Howard is the smarter one about this whole ordeal, they shouldn't even be doing this.
Mhm.
Howard can't stop him. He's got to just do his best to help him.
Yeah. Well, Howard is basically there to avoid a PR crisis, and that PR crisis is going to really be blown out of the water come Monday because what Chuck did in last episode and basically confirmed that we all know that Chuck hated Jimmy from the start.
So he's lost
Mhm.
Jimmy. I mean, there's no way Jimmy is ever going to bring him ice and stuff again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's going to lose his position at the firm.
Mm-hmm.
And, the only person he's going to have left to turn to at this point is Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Rebecca wants to get sucked in all the way.
No.
I think it's going to be a case of she's going to get all, she's going to get on a moral high horse about what
Mm-hmm.
plans people might have for Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes right down to it, she's not going to be the one who's going to hang around and take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's driven everybody else away. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of Rebecca, how about that Ann Cusack? Oh my God, she is great.
that's a Cusack. No wonder
Yep.
She
she seems
is.
so familiar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my
That's
God,
John and
she's
Joan's sister.
Joan shit.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And I
That's
love Joan. And Joan's in Shameless, and she's fantastic. Oh my God, no wonder she sounded so vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
hmm Yep.
But I think that's pretty much it on Severisto, and we covered the major plot points that's going on this season, which is the whole cartel, Gus, and the whole feud between Chuck and Jimmy.
But
Guys, I mean, both
the one
episodes
thing,
so
yeah,
different, so different. This one was way Better Call Saul, the one with the hearing,
Mhm.
and that other one
yeah,
was so Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, chicanery. We didn't have Mike, we didn't have Gus, but really you didn't need them because the
Mhm.
main
And plus,
focus.
and not only that, and plus we saw the whole main focus between Gus and Mike the previous episode. And we
hmm
Yep.
only saw Chuck, Jimmy near the last. So this right here ties together the whole half end of Sabaristo.
hmm hmm So
So,
really, I mean, you really didn't miss Mike or miss
mhm. Yeah.
Gus or anything like
Mhm.
that.
No, that episode definitely held its own. That
Yeah.
was compelling.
It did. It's like Breaking Bad. They didn't have every single character on each episode.
Mhm.
You know.
I think the only person that was on every single episode was Walt. All
hmm
62.
Yep.
hmm
I think that's pretty much it. I cannot wait for Monday. I cannot wait for Monday. Off
Fuck
brand.
Off-brand, yes.
I can. Fuck Monday. I don't want Monday. Sorry.
We're not PG.
Obvious.
But anyway, I mean, tomorrow's Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day, Ellen. Happy Mother's
Yeah,
Day to all our
yeah.
moms.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy Mother's Day to everybody that's watching. And that's going to do it for us tonight. Tune in next week. We're going to be talking about off-brand. I cannot wait to see what happens. Cannot wait to see what happens. Good night, everybody.